Thank you, Mr. Chair. You know, this debate kind of with these 5-minute blurbs shows part of the problem of why we need to address diversity, equity, and inclusion in the military, and why the concept of critical race theory even began. They are related, they're not the same, and I want to correct one of the definitions I've heard. Critical race theory does not teach that you have different characteristics based on your race. Critical race theory teaches that American laws, social mores, and media depictions for much of our history assumed that people had different characteristics based on their race and put public policy and social mores in place as a result. And because of that, my mother, who grew up in the Gulf Coast of Mississippi, one of 14 children born between 1918 and 1938. She had 7 brothers. Because the state of Mississippi did not deem Black children worthy of education, the only education available to them was in the Catholic Church that went to the 8th grade. So for her brothers, the only opportunity for advancement was the military. And they served in the military, and they were not allowed combat duty. They were only allowed to cook. Because at that time, the military viewed Black soldiers as only able to do manual labor, not fight. And my uncles brought home, after their service, stories to their children of how they were treated, the names they were called, the discrimination they faced, the danger they felt from fellow service members. And their children didn't want to go into the military as a result. And they passed those stories to their children. And many of them saw that same treatment in other aspects of their lives. Now, diversity, equity, and inclusion is a concentrated effort to say, we are going to make sure our military reflects at all ranks the diversity of the nation we are protecting. Equity means because of policies of the past, not every service member started on the same starting block or had a hurdle-free path to service. So we meet them where they are and give them what they need so that they can succeed. Inclusion means we make sure they feel welcomed and are not in a hostile work environment. Again, for 173 years, our military was segregated. And when it was desegregated in 1948, the hostile work environment continued. And you only have to look at what happened in the wake of the election of Barack Obama, in the wake of the Unite the Right rally, in the wake of the murder of George Floyd. I represent the capital of the former capital of the Confederacy, where in some days we feel like we're still fighting the Civil War, because we as a society refused to talk about our original trauma. And like any family, if you don't talk about the trauma and how it impacts different members of the family and different communities, you'll never heal from it. And that is the point of diversity, equity, and inclusion. And our military, just like, frankly, this Congress, probably needs to spend some time unpacking what I just said in less than 5 minutes. And that is why we need specific training from specific people qualified to give that training, so that we don't devolve into people shouting at each other rather than listening to each other and learning from the experiences of people who lived a different life experience than them, because the color of their skin led their government, their military, their employer, their community to treat them as second-class citizens. And if our military can't do it, how do we expect to be a world leader for the rest of the world? I yield back.